evening talking on caregiver wins. So, in case you don't know me, I'm Krista, and I run this YouTube channel and all my social media is called Dementia Success Path, where I give you bite sized tips on challenging dementia behaviors. And Caregiver Wins, for those who are new to Caregiver Wins, is our time in which we chat about uh, really small steps we can take to get a win with dementia caregiving, specifically challenging behaviors. So this evening, our topic is hi, welcome. Our topic is refusals. Refusals. I'm so excited about that. All right, getting everything drawn up here. All right. So again, I'm Krista. If in case you don't know who I have helped thousands of dementia caregivers and I've worked with thousands of folks with dementia and I teach more practical hands-on type stuff when it comes to challenging behaviors. Hi Cynthia, welcome. Welcome. So, my challenge for all of us who are wanting to get into caregiver wins is for us to be able to just commit to trying at least one thing that is going to help us get a win when it comes to caregiving. So put in chat, uh, I'm in if you are willing to try at least one small thing that you learn from this evening, from this live, from Caregiver Wins. All right. So, with all that said, the reason why we are talking refusals this evening. Nice, Storm Chaser Hannah. That's great. The reason why we're talking refusals this evening is this is one of the number one things that a lot of us struggle with. Awesome. Tracy's in from Boston. Cynthia's in. Awesome. Okay. And if you're watching the replay of this, feel free to put it in chat as well, because it's going to help you be able to not just consume information, but apply it too. Like that's what's important. All right. So we're going to go over three reasons why our folks with dementia refuse to shower, to eat, to take medication, to change. Let me know in chat or in the comments if our person with dementia refuses to do really basic things that they would have done before. Uh, it'd be good to know. So again, most common is showering, changing clothes, taking medications, maybe eating. Hi, Coral from Washington State. Good to see you. All right. Perfect. All right. So the three reasons why our folks with dementia may refuse things is one, confusion or fatigue, two, overwhelm, or three, sensory issues. So I'm going to break all those down so that we have an idea of why these things are a factor and what we can say, what we can do in response to that. And quite frankly, this works with just about any type of refusal because ultimately you are going to do better trying to work with the unmet need versus trying to make them either believe what it is that you need them to believe or do something that they really don't want to do. Okay. So again, number one, confusion. So we think of confusion as not knowing how to do the task or them not knowing the reason, like why they need to do the task, or their brain just being too tired to do the task. So that's confusion. So you guys tell me in chat or tell me in the comments if these refusals sound familiar to you. So it could be I already showered. I don't need to shower right now. I'm not hungry. I'm busy. I'll do it later or I'll do it tomorrow. These are all things that fall under the confusion or fatigue umbrella when it comes to them refusing things. Now, something I've noticed, like a general theme of a lot of caregivers when it comes to especially these types of refusals, is that uh, it can feel like if we don't get our person with dementia to listen right away, that somehow we're losing, or that like, oh no, they're refusing, they're digging their heels in, but in reality, there are workarounds. There are other things we can do. So these are a few things that we can implement as like a small first step to help us overcome the refusals. So first, what we could do is maybe try again in 15 to 30 minutes. Oftentimes, what makes an interaction more memorable, and I know that sounds silly when they have memory loss, but trust me, if you've ever had a big fight with your person with dementia, they may be a little ornery with you a little bit later on. So it's definitely a thing that can happen. So the more calm you can be in the face of their refusal, the more likely it is that if you leave for 15 to 30 minutes and come back and ask literally the same thing, that they very well may say yes or be willing to do it. So that's the first thing. Uh, if they say, I already showered, I'm not showering right now, or whatever the refusal is that has to do with confusion, just let them be for a bit. So that's the first one we can try. Uh, Second thing we can do is we can give them a reason why they should engage with the activity or the task that is more in line with what it is that they want to do or what is their goal. So I'll give you a good example of this. Uh, a lot of my folks, they don't feel like they don't like being told what to do, but they do love to help. They do love giving their opinions. They love to be able to feel useful. So the way how I would help incorporate showering into helping them feel those things useful, like they're helpful, like their opinion matters, that type of stuff, saying like, hey, I could use your help in the bathroom. Here, could you check this water temperature for me? Is it too hot? So that's a good way to get them introduced into what it is that you need them to do. And then what you would want to do after that is just start giving them a next step into showering. So maybe it's like, all right, we're going to unbutton this one, this one, this one, or all right, we're going to lift our shirt up. So the reason why that works is again, we're helping their brains go on autopilot. We're working with their brain fatigue, so that can really help with if they are just absolutely refusing when you're saying, hey, do you want to take a shower? Or hey, do you want to change your clothes? Spoiler alert, the answer is always no for those things. It's going to really help them. So, two things about confusion. The first reason why our folks will refuse to do just about anything is one, we want to stay as calm as possible. Two, we want to think about what are things that are important to them? What matters to them? Is being helpful matter? Does being helpful matter to them? Is being heard matter to them? And align the task to that. And then third, maybe try again, come back later. That can be a really good way. And then lastly, just instead of saying, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Just start telling them the next step of what they need to do. Help their brain go on autopilot. Help their brain work less hard. That's going to give you a lot better success. So let me know in chat, everybody, which one of those sound the most doable for us. So leaving and coming back, helping their brain go on autopilot, or staying calm. All right. So moving right along. Second reason why our folks may be refusing things like medication, changing clothes, might be overwhelm. So I think what a lot of us take for granted as caregivers is the fact that every single task, even the most basic activity of daily living task, has a lot of steps in them that, especially when you're in like middle or even later stages of dementia, can be really hard for them to keep up with or remember. Like they may remember steps like one and two, but they may forget steps three, four, and five. Or they may remember steps one and three, but forget step two. And that might lead to a refusal. So we want to simplify things as much as humanly possible. Oh, good. Oh, I'm so glad, Barbara. That is a great thing for you to try. Staying calm and leaving and coming back. Yeah, definitely. That's a great thing to try. All right. And guest, I'll definitely answer your question in just a little bit. All right. So we want to simplify. And second thing we want to do to reduce overwhelm is we want to prepare things ahead of time as best we can. We want to set them up for success. So when it comes to changing clothes, maybe the reason why when you keep telling them, "Hey, you need to change your clothes," they may like you may not be thinking about, oh, they got to walk into the closet, they got to scan through all the clothes, they have to pick out what shirt they want. That could be way too overwhelming. So how you could help them out is maybe select the few items and then maybe say, hey, here, come in here, I want to show you something. I have the cutest clothes for you to try on. I just want to hear what you think about them. That's a lot less overwhelming for them to do. Maybe like a couple steps to put them on. It depends on where they are in the disease cycle, but if you notice a refusal coming because they're just like, that's too much, just try simplifying it down a little bit, or try to have things as prepared as possible to help them be able to succeed. All right. Next thing you want to do too is you want to demonstrate what it is that you want them to do. So, especially let's stick with the changing clothes example. Our person may be struggling to figure out, okay, where do I need to put my arm? What do I need to do next? And they may just be like, nope, not doing it. It's good to show while you're telling at the same time. That will really, really help with the overwhelm. Uh, so, again, overwhelm, second reason why our folks will refuse to do just about anything. Yeah, Leslie, that's not, yeah. So I would say, I know. I actually just recently made a video about comparing like late stage dementia with like the childhood development stages. And ultimately what's there is it's a really good shorthand for letting people know just like the level of responsibility you may have when your person with dementia is in like middle or later stages of the disease process. Like it's definitely a good representation of like the amount of workload that you may have, or even some of the abilities they may have. However, like their emotional needs are very different, and how you approach them are very different. So I think when people see like, oh, they're acting very similar to a toddler, so I'm going to treat them like a toddler, that tends not to work because their emotional needs are very different. So while, yeah, it's a good description of all the things that you're probably doing to support them in middle to late stage dementia, how you approach them really needs to reflect their life experience and their emotional needs, which are to feel useful, to feel like they're in control of their life, to feel like they're making decisions for themselves. Even if you are curating all the things in front of them, even if in reality you are actually controlling all the things around them, they need to at least feel like they are still in control of their lives as adults. Yes, exactly, Leslie. Autonomy, 100%. 100%. And with kids, that's, well, definitely all autonomy is very important for kids too. I think what's there with kids and what's a little bit different is they can gain a lot of their self-esteem by the ways that they're growing and they're changing, uh, and feel like they have an opportunity to get things right when you correct them, versus with our folks with dementia, they're declining. So it's not going to happen. Like no matter how hard they try, they're likely not going to improve at whatever skill they're needing to do. So it's better for us to, again, set things up in such a way that they feel like they are in control, that they have choices, and that they are winning in life. So that's going to be the way that we're going to best support our folks with dementia in particular. All right. So again, overwhelm is our second most common reason. In case you came in a little bit late, our first reason why our folks refuse things, showering, changing clothes, eating, all that type of stuff, is confusion or fatigue. So confusion or fatigue. Second is overwhelm. So what we can do is to help with the overwhelm is simplify things, make sure that things are as easy for prepared so that things are as easy for them to do as possible. Uh, and then demonstrate. So tell me in chat or tell me in the comments which one feels doable to you. So simplifying things. An example of that could be instead of having like shampoo, conditioner, body wash in the shower, maybe getting an all in one soap. So that all they got to do is just squirt the soap on a loofah and just do all over. So simplify, show them, demonstrate, or prepare. So demonstrate, prepare, simplify. Tell me in chat which one sounds like it's the most doable for you guys. All right. So last thing. So far, again, we've talked about confusion as a reason and we've talked about overwhelm as a reason. So last reason why our folks, all of it, our folks will refuse to do anything that they need to do: showering, changing clothes, eating food, taking meds, all the things. And if you guys have questions, hang tight. I saw guest earlier have a question, so I'm happy to answer a few questions in just a little bit once we get past this one. Third one is overwhelm. Over like sensory overwhelm is the last one. So something that does not get talked about pretty much at all, honestly, in the caregiver groups is just how much dementia will really mess with our folks' sensory experience. So, if anybody's ever experienced being with somebody who's autistic, where they're really sensitive to sights and sounds and lights and tastes and textures and all that type of stuff, similar things can happen with our folks with dementia. So, they could be really under or oversensitive to things like temperature, to pain, to texture in their mouth, or feeling on their skin. Like that could be reasons why they're refusing showers or refusing certain foods that they used to love, or things of that nature. Oftentimes that's a big reason. So one thing we can do uh, when it comes to showering in particular is heat up that bathroom, y'all. Like, we used to make a joke when I was working, in both home health and in Jerry Psych, that if you're not sweating in that bathroom, that room is not warm enough for seniors. Just seniors in general have really poor circulation. So oftentimes too, when they insist that they're cold all the time, typically it's their hands and feet that are cold. Like if you're putting on sweaters and blankets and they're still shivering and cold, try warming up their hands and feet. That's a big pro tip. So yeah, definitely heat up that bathroom. Check their food temperature. Have them check the water temperature. Like these are all big ways that you can increases your chance of success. Oh yeah, definitely good thing to do. Laquita, hopefully I'm saying your name right. Is keeping a heater in the bathroom. Definitely. Another thing we can do too that we don't necessarily think about when we think our person's just refusing all medications. How many medications are they on? Like, are there 20 pills in front of them? That's pretty overwhelming to try to swallow all those. Maybe they're struggling with swallowing. So, how we can adjust that is first talking with your doctor, most importantly, about if the medications that they're on are crushable, can be taken with food, or come in liquid form, or if you can pare down on the medications. All very, very important things to discuss with their doctor first before trying any of that. But what it will help you do is make it so that the sensory experience of taking the pills is a lot easier for your person with dementia. Big, like, uh, trick that a lot of the nurses at my Jerry Psych hospital used to do is they used to crush the pills that were crushable that could be taken with food, and like mix in applesauce or pudding and give it to them. So again, don't do that on your own. Talk with their doctor first. Be sure it's safe, because sometimes when you crush the medication, it makes the medication less effective or changes how it works in the body. So you got to be very careful about that. Uh, yeah. Likewise with food, for example, they may not like the texture in their mouth. You may just play around with like the different types of food textures that you're offering them. Or maybe they are struggling to figure out how to use the silverware. So maybe giving them finger foods. Those are all things that can help. So again, just things that we can do is we can heat, like, make sure that there's heat in the bathroom, make sure they're warm. So that's one thing we can do. Second thing is we can check texture, temperature of food. Uh, Lastly, we can look into medications. So let me know in chat, or let me know in the comments if you're watching the replay, if we're going to look into medication, food, or heating up the shower. So you tell them what it is you're giving them food wise. Yeah, sometimes that is helpful. It depends on the person with dementia for sure. For sure. So, okay, crush meds. Okay, great. All right. So again, three reasons why our folks with dementia will constantly refuse things. One, confusion, overwhelm. Two, um, overwhelm, and then three, sensory issues. And this really goes for all, for any reason why they will refuse. So just a final overview of tips, is one, we want to help them find success. So maybe laying out the clothes. If it's safe to crush the pills, maybe crush pills and food. If they're weird about food, like the pills or swallowing or texture. Uh, Three, heat up their bathroom. And, four, just think about what it is that is going to, like, what matters to them. Like, are they folks that love to be helpful? Are they folks that really love to give their opinions on things? Do they really not like being told what to do? Those are all really important things. So, In chat, before I start answering some questions, be sure to put in chat which reason why our folks refuse resonated the most with us. Sounds more the most like your person. So confusion, overwhelm, or sensory issues. Oh yeah, give choices. That's a great tip, Leslie. I love it. That's awesome. Okay, well, I got about 10 more minutes left on our live. So if you guys have any questions, I'll go ahead and put it in chat. I'll answer it. I'll go ahead and answer guest questions first. She says, I can't get my loved one to get his blood test done. Well, he will gladly take the shots, but won't go for labs. What do I do? Yeah, that's tricky for sure. So I guess my thought would be you want to determine how important are the labs. Um, or are there certain labs that are more important than others? Because that can determine how much blood needs to be taken. It could be like the amount of time that they need to sit there. Like maybe the reason why shots work is because they can do it in like 2 seconds. Maybe ask if maybe some of the tests can be done by like the finger prick type thing. So just kind of working with the medical folks and just seeing what's possible and what's necessary, I think is going to help. Oh, great. Overwhelmed. Too many steps? Yeah, overwhelm. Okay. Yeah. So once again, so again, we've had some new folks jump on. Uh, if you are willing to again take even just one small thing that you've learned this evening and try it out, apply it within the next like 24 to 48 hours, put in chat or in the comments, I'm in, and let me know. You could put I'm in and maybe put in either you're going to try tackling confusion, overwhelm, or sensory issues. We about to simplify. I like the hashtag with that, Leslie. That's great. Yeah, the replay. The good thing about YouTube, Joe, is that it posts pretty much immediately on YouTube. So that's pretty awesome. Um, isn't refusing everything by mouth, is that their sign of wanting to let go and move on? Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So it really depends on where they're at in the disease process. So if they're in like let's say late or even end stages, yeah, them not wanting to eat or drink can be a sign that they are in end stages of the disease and close to passing. However, what that looks like is it's not like an epic battle that you're seeing more in like the middle stages. So what you're seeing in middle stages is them like pushing away the food and be like, "No, I don't want this. Uh-uh. Mm-mm, that's disgusting." Like I call that more middle stage type stuff. By the time you're all the way in late stage or end stages of the disease, they probably have very little, if any, language at all. Chances are they're probably sleeping most of the time. So it's going to be very obvious if they are refusing to eat because they're in end stages versus if they are refusing to eat for one of the three reasons we listed, which is confusion, overwhelm, or sensory issues. Um, nice. Barbara's going to work on sensory issues. Let's see. Seabird says, "Stop asking what he wants for dinner. Just say that it's ready." Yeah, that's a good tip for sure. Yeah, that's a good example of simplifying things down. And for some people, especially as you get further on into the disease, while choices, like maybe giving them one or two choices could have worked for them, sometimes as they progress through the disease, the choices become overwhelming. And sometimes it works out better for you to just put the food down and be like, dinner's ready. Sometimes that can work out just a lot easier. So great. Cynthia's going to try overwhelm. Nice. All right, Kathy, great. Kathy is going to slow her pace, monitoring that sensory overload and providing more visual stuff. That's great. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's good to have an idea of what we can do to support our folks because it can feel really discouraging to try just strong arming them into what we need them to do. It's we the goal of learning this type of stuff is for us to work with what they're going through versus working against them. Let's see. Amanda says, Krista, what made you want to become involved in dementia care? That's a good question. Yeah. So, my first job out of college was being an activity therapist at a geri psych hospital. So most geri psych hospitals have like a very large percentage of the folks that are there being diagnosed with dementia. Now they aren't like your average folks with dementia. They are folks who are specifically hospitalized because they're on like extremes of what the symptoms look like. Like I have people all the time ask me like, when is the aggression stage? And it's like, I want to hopefully really calm your hearts and let you know that most people with dementia do not get aggressive the entire time. It can happen as a symptom of dementia where they get aggressive, like they bite, kick, cuss you out, try to hit you, be a danger to themselves or others. Like that can happen, but it's not common. Like it's not common. Like it's not a hallmark of any of the dementias. Like memory loss, for example, is a hallmark of Alzheimer's, but like aggression isn't really a hallmark. So anyways, for the folks where I was working at the hospital, it was something that was a thing for them. So I dealt with people with like the most extreme of dementia symptoms. And even then, what I learned is most of the time it really comes down to just knowing how to talk to them, which is honestly like learning a foreign language. It took a lot of trial and error for sure. Because the dirty secret of a lot of the industry is that they don't actively train their staff members on like practical things. Like what they'll do is they'll show them like video slides of, like, this is how Alzheimer's works. You have amyloid plaques building up in the brain. And while like sure, like it's good to know like the reason why Alzheimer's or Lewy body or whatever happens, that doesn't help you know how to handle Carol banging on the back door screaming, "Let me out, I need to get home." Like that doesn't help you. So I learned all these practical things from just hands-on experience, from just working with folks over and over and over and over again. And definitely as we got closer to COVID and through COVID times, uh, kind of became a CNA, sort of, sort of on accident. So that's the first part of my journey, how I got involved with it professionally. But since then, I've worked in senior living, I've worked in home health, I've worked in all kinds of stuff, and I've also educated caregivers for a lot of years too. Um, yeah, Stacy says I get so tired and annoyed repeating myself over and over, and I have a question, but I need to put it in a certain way, and I'll respond back. Yeah. So, a quick tip about repeating that could be hopefully help you out, Stacy, is that oftentimes what's there is it's like it's a feeling of anxiety that keeps triggering that repeated phrase to come up. Oftentimes, like the main things my folks will repeat a lot is, "What time is it? What time is it?" Or something along those lines. So it's really that feeling of anxiety that keeps bubbling up. So really our goal if we want to like stop that endless loop of repeating is to help get them as calm as possible. So the way that you can do that, it feels really counterintuitive, but hang with me here. You want to get curious as to why they are repeating the same phrase over and over again. And sometimes they won't be able to tell you, but that's really the first step that I'll go to. So again, example with the what time is it? What time is it? I'll ask, are you are you late for something? And oftentimes they're like, oh my gosh, I have a hair appointment. I just can't miss it. It's like, oh, okay. Okay. Well, here, let's get our calendar here, and we'll circle where it is. This is today. This is the hair appointment. And while sure, is that going to make them stop repeating that same concern? I mean, maybe, maybe not, but you'll be able to calm them down a lot faster by knowing like what's at the root of that repeated phrase instead of just constantly saying like, ah, that's a dementia thing. Most all dementia behaviors have its roots in an unmet need. Like it really has its roots in them struggling to communicate a physical or emotional need that they have. So the faster you can get to figuring out what that physical or emotional need is, the faster you're going to extinguish the behavior. That's what the behaviors are even for. Is to get folks' attention and to get those needs met. That's why they do it. That's why anybody does a behavior. Period, negative or positive, either social or either antisocial or pro-social. Like that's just how behaviors work in general. So uh, yeah. So hopefully that helps for sure. Oh, thank you, Missy. I appreciate you. Let's see. Laquita says, my mom lives with me but wants to go home, so she cusses when she gets upset because we are here. We noticed changes during the pandemic. Yeah. And I did a whole a whole thing on I want to go home. It's actually posted here on YouTube as well if you guys want to check out that last caregiver wins. That's there if you guys want like a big deep dive into I want to go home. But ultimately, what's there is they're just expressing that they feel uncomfortable. That's essentially what them wanting to go home is. They want to go to a place where they feel comfortable, where people are familiar, where they know where stuff is. That's really what them wanting to go home really comes down to. So it's about figuring out what or who they're looking for and making sure that that explanation that you're giving them fits within their worldview or their belief system. So hopefully that helps. All right, we're getting towards the end of time, but I think we have like two more questions. Okay, I think those are more comments here. Let's see. Stacy says, my mom is worried her whole life, so now she has so much anxiety, is paranoid to drive anywhere in the car is so hard. Um, yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's understandable too. If you felt like you were constantly forgetting things, like that would make you really anxious. For sure. So one of the main ways that we can help our folks, especially if we feel they look super overwhelmed, is by just helping them get calm. Sometimes it takes a change of scenery. So if they're just like, I just, like something like that, I'm like, come with me. And I might take them outside or I might take them into a different room and then we just sit. And I'm just like, okay, take a breath, water, and I just may offer them some water, just getting them calm so that their brain can just simmer down a bit so that it can process a little bit more. So they can find the words to try to tell me what's happening. Or if they can't find the words, then just kind of tick through your checklist of physical needs that they could be having. So, all right, Lori has a question. So, last question before I hop off. Um, Again, for those who are just popping on, we talked about refusals, why folks with dementia refuse things. And those three reasons are because they're confused, because of overwhelm, and because of sensory issues. All right, Lori says, any tips on how to handle them when our parents who have dementia have an issue with their child, caregiver, tries to get them to do anything? My mom considers it disrespect. Yeah, it's definitely challenging when you're not the primary caregiver and you're trying to help. I think ultimately what's there is it just depends on how much mental, emotional energy you have to give to that. But if you have the mental, emotional energy to try to understand mom, that is probably the best place to start is you want to understand that primary caregiver, where they're coming from, what their challenges are, what they perceive to be as problems, and then maybe speak to those specific problems because they're much more likely to listen to you when you are speaking to what they perceive as problems versus trying to convince them of the things that you find to be important. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thanks, Sue. Alrighty. Well, everybody. Um, Again, for all those who said that we're in, be sure within the next 24 to 48 hours, try something, see if it works, see if it helps you. So that you're again not just consuming information, but actually applying it. So definitely do that. And also be on the lookout, everybody, because next month, we are hosting a big free open workshop for all of us on challenging dementia behaviors. So if you aren't already subscribed to our newsletter, make sure to subscribe or to go to dementiasuccesspath.com and get on our newsletter so you can be notified of when our workshop is and so you can sign up. If you can't make it's a 3-day workshop. If you can't make all 3 days, that's okay. There's replays for those who sign up, as well as there's an awesome community to chat to in between. So it's a really, really great thing. It's totally free. So definitely be sure to, again, go to dementiasuccesspath.com if you're interested in getting notified about that. And I am excited to hear about your wins that you guys are going to hopefully apply from what you've learned this evening. So, everybody, thank you so much for coming. And I will see you guys very soon in our workshop next month. Bye, guys.